The
Elitist
Pizza
podcast.
All right, and we're going.
Episode 8.
Man, this is what I've been waiting for as a longtime fan of Invincible. Man, I'm gonna shed a tear, man. Not only because of the
Short time fan.
yeah,
I really enjoy it. Very good time.
not only because I've been waiting for it for a long time, but just this episode really made you feel some emotions, man. It's getting the waterworks about to come out. I was like, hold on now, this is, this is a young cartoon. I can't be out here crying to a cartoon. But
It's allergy season.
oh yeah,
Pollen.
there you go. I'll
Oh.
tell everybody it's the pollen, guys. That's why I keep uh, just bawling.
Ah! That would be funny if it was like someone, you guys, you were telling it beforehand. You're like, yeah, I teared up a little bit because, but it was pollen season, and then it's like it goes back 2 years earlier. Oh my God, damn it! Why did you do this? Why?
Why did she
Like,
leave me?
but yeah, we got to see. I was kind of making some predictions throughout the series, and I think I got it pretty right. But we can discuss that in the spoilers here
All right.
section. And that was like it was nice, kind of getting my theory, the, my
Confirmed.
hypothesis tested.
Yeah. I had a coworker. I talked to him about the show. His theory was like completely off. So I was just waiting for him to get to this episode so that he could find out he was so wrong. Not just for him to be wrong, but for him because I think what actually happened was cooler than his theory. It was a little bit more unexpected. So I think,
So we can be surprised. Is
yeah,
what you mean? Because
not
to be
like ha,
surprised
I'm
means
right.
technically, yeah, technically, to be surprised you have to be wrong. But I mean, it's not like a judgment that you didn't know that people were like your entire family was in your house waiting to surprise you for your birthday.
Yeah,
Like you technically your beliefs are incorrect, but it's not like it's a weird way to put it. I don't know why that was important for me to
yeah,
clarify. That was not important at all.
yeah. Well,
Um,
you did it. It is what it is.
I think I'm gonna go with 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Man, crazy. I'm going with the. Personally, I think this is the best episode in the series by far. Maybe not my favorite, but I think it's the best. Um, Trying to make a decent distinguish between the two. I think it's. I think the animation they clearly they were saving up for this fight, right?
Yeah,
I think, I think it's the best episode. I'm gonna give it like a 10. Honestly,
yeah. The animation, not even within the fight. Yeah, like outside the fight,
yeah,
there's some cool things that they did to show like montages and stuff. I
yeah.
thought was really clever. Um,
I think this episode, just made me feel emotions, and I was like, you know what, this has got to be a 10.
yeah, I
Whenever
think
you
you're
can,
right.
when you
I
can,
think it is the best episode. Maybe it's 10 out of 10. You convinced me.
yeah, I think it's the best. Is it my favorite? It might be my favorite. It's some really cool stuff in here, but um, I did like the episode where Alan the alien first showed up. That was
Yeah,
probably my favorite one, just because I like him. He's just like, oh,
I like how
this is
awkward it
this
was.
this isn't Urath, this is Earth. Oh, my bad.
Oh,
I like how that comes full circle, but we'll touch on that. But ratings, we're both giving it 10 out of 10.
dude.
Please,
Okay, now wait, hold on. This is supposed to be the non-spoiler section. Okay, and you just let a spoiler out.
spoiler. Oh well,
Come on, I mean, there's a lot of people where they were wondering whether the what was his name, Uran, the alien,
no, Alan the alien.
The alien. People were there was a significant online debate about whether Alan the alien was gonna be in this episode, and you just
Oh,
spoiled it for everybody. But
well,
keep going. It's
you're
fine.
you're you're welcome. You're welcome. By the way,
Okay,
um,
it's fine. Don't worry about
yeah.
it.
So also, that's why in season two, no, I'm not gonna say that. I just start spoiling the whole comic book, and then this
Yeah,
happens to this character.
that that would be what we should do for April Fools. Would we have like a big following? April Fools, we just spoil it all and like,
Yeah,
and then I mean it's April Fools, so anything you do is like fair game.
yeah. Just put it in the not
Okay.
like do like a non-spoiler review of the entire series so far, and then just start telling everybody literally everything.
Snape kills Dumbledore. Snape kills Dumbledore.
We
That
gotta
kind
go
of
like
thing.
we gotta go like So like within the first couple seconds of the video, they hear spoilers.
Yeah. Yep. There's no way to escape it. Okay, but
But yeah,
um,
10 out of 10. A lot of things paid off. It was a great, really fantastic way to end the series, or at least end the season. By the way, I don't know if you saw, um, it just got renewed for season 2 and 3, so we're in here for the long ride, brother.
nice.
So we're
I'm
here for,
excited. Well,
yeah,
this episode made me feel excited for the second season.
right.
Like they kind of like they had been setting up a lot of these plot strings, and then they just kind of showed like a montage of each one of them in progress,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of remind you. And I was like, oh yeah, I am very interested to see how that will turn out. So that was nice. So end of the non spoiler section.
Yeah, that's the end. We're so let's just get straight into it. We start off right when the last episode ended, and Mark sees his father like rip the immortal in half, and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And obviously, Omni Man sits him down and talks, and he says, "Hey, the Viltrumites, we're not really like a peacekeeping people like I said we were. We're here to basically conquer the solar system and the galaxy and put everybody under our control. Because I think I actually forgot this part uh, where he was because he told them that like on their planet they literally just started slaughtering each other and like the
Yeah,
strongest ones would survive and then those are the ones that like go conquer other planets and then they were like, oh, we're getting spread too thin, so we have to make children. And
wait. Now my interpretation was that there was like an uprising. There was like a Nazi type uprising, and there was like a genocide of the like a eugenic policy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought he meant. I thought that like it would be ridiculous if that was literally what happened.
isn't that? I mean, I guess I don't know. It just looks like they're all kind of just fighting each other because like in the show, it was just like some of them were fighting this one girl and she killed somebody. That person
Oh
killed
yeah,
her, and then that person got killed by somebody else, and then they
almost
just
like it was almost like a mass apocalypse where everybody was just
yeah
angry at everyone else, and then
yeah that
eventually like when it stopped, they were like, okay, now we will rebuild,
yeah
and then like the lore around this whole event was that like the strongest survive.
yeah really some really cool stuff. Um, we see a character, one of those Viltrumites. One of those Viltrumites is a character that we will see. I'm not gonna point out who, um, obviously because we don't know names, but we'll see one of those characters. I don't know. Probably like season 3. I don't know. Um, but so he tells all this to Mark, and obviously Mark's not having it. He's like, "Yo," he grabs him. He's like, "Yo, who's controlling you? Give me back my dad." And he's like, "Oh nah, it's just me. These humans are weak. We have to do this." And Mark's trying to convince him, as well as Omni Man trying to convince Mark. And then so Mark starts trying to fight him, and you just see how just ridiculously out of his league he is. Like he's just getting smacked around. Omni Man's like, "Hey, I'm really not trying to fight you. We're supposed to do this together." He has some really great lines in there about Mark's talking about, "Don't you love mom?" And he's like, "I do, but she's sort of like a pet to me."
That was really,
Oh
I thought
man,
that was really funny.
yeah. I was like, "Yo,
Man, like
that was a crazy one right there." They did, but you see that like you still see parts of there, especially towards the end, which we'll talk about later, where you see like I almost don't even think that Nolan believes that. Because he kind of
yeah,
like looks away and then he says it, and it's like you can tell throughout this whole thing that he actually loves Mark and he actually loves Debbie, but he just feels the
but he
greater
feels like he has to.
responsibility.
Yeah, like trying to think of an analogy.
Oh,
Just escape mode. Just escape. It was like I
oh,
had it, and then
yeah. One thing
it
I
went.
think he says that's pretty interesting that um, I mentioned somewhere earlier. I didn't say it, but I was like, I kind of alluded to it. Was that the fact that he mentions that Mark is that Viltrumite blood is so pure that Mark is almost like 100% Viltrumite. He's not. It's not like a Kryptonian or a Saiyan deal where it's like you're half and half. He's literally almost full Viltrumite, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I guess it's
It's like
The Viltrumite DNA just takes over. It's just that dominant or
yeah.
something.
I think we'll get an answer, but this is one of the things I don't remember. Never mind. I think we'll get an answer, but I'm not too sure. So I can actually go in and speculate. I wonder if we'll see like him get like with another Viltrumite get with like a weird looking alien, and what they'll turn out like
I would,
like one of Alan the aliens
yeah.
species. Like, will they just like grow up looking like Alan the alien and then slowly start looking like a regular Viltrumite? I wonder how that would work. Uh,
No,
Vil-
no one.
yeah, he was
So,
talking about like how the mother is more like a pet to him.
oh,
Um,
so this made me think a lot of like European colonialism in the 19th century. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing this, but like, so if I'm like a European person and I go to the Americas and then I like buy African slaves, like a lot of these people, they kind of understood that what they were doing was wrong. Like a lot of them, they would like be nicer to some of the slaves as opposed to other ones. Like they kind of thought, kind of like how abusive parents are when they like beat the kids.
right,
Like there is kind of a love there. It's not okay to own slaves, but the people they had like a lot of the people who, like the owners and stuff, they thought on some like fucked up level that like what they were doing, what they had to do to help people,
right.
and I think that's kind of like
Nolan is thinking.
what no, yeah, and like what a lot of the things that he said was like they need our civilization and they're uncivilized, they're a bunch of animals, and it's like he's not like, hey, let's just murder all these people, which it kind of sounds like he's saying. It's almost like we Viltrumites or we Europeans are so much better than everyone else that we just have to impose our systems on them and for their own good. Um, and it's I thought it was that was kind of how I interpreted it, and I thought it was actually pretty deep. Kind of putting that in a sci-fi superhero context, I would have never thought to do that.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just over intellectualizing it, and
No,
it's
that's exactly where he was going because he said something along the lines of like talking to Mark. He's like, we could give them medical technology far beyond what they have now. So it's more of bringing them under the Viltrum empire and umbrella rather than I'm just gonna kill all the humans. He'll kill who he has
yeah,
to make sure they stay out of the way, but he wants to ultimately just bring them under Viltrum's umbrella.
right,
Um, But the fight ensues, and Mark is completely just outclassed, and Nolan is really just like showing him that hey, you're weak, and he like we get some. He punches him to like Chicago, and he just Mark is like falling through like buildings and stuff and causing all this carnage. And there was one scene where he's trying to save this mother and this daughter from the building. Oh man, that was so sad. He couldn't like hold up
yeah,
the building and like fell around him, and he was holding on the arm, and he looks back and it's just an arm, and like
yeah.
yeah, and I mean obviously he got ripped out of the socket, right? But
Those kinds of moments, like really how people remember traumatic events, and those kinds of boom, 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 because it's like we saw it from his perspective insofar as we didn't see the woman being smashed. We just saw the before and the after.
right,
That's often how you remember things. Your brain kind of ties the causality of it together. And so I think it's kind of cool how it's like we're kind of because it's third person limited, right? So
right,
it's third person, but we're seeing Mark more or less what Mark sees for the most part. And so it's like that was kind of cool how they made us really see through Mark's eyes and by doing that.
yeah. And then Omni Man still trying to plead with Mark like, hey, this is your fault. If you would just
Right.
give up, then I would stop. And he's talking about, and then he punches him to like the subway, and he like this scene was cool. It's pretty brutal,
Oh
but it's
yeah.
really cool. He like picks him up by like
Just
the
holds
head,
him there.
yeah, just holds him there while he's like running his
You're
whole
like,
body through the train and killing every single person. Um, and just showing he's essentially just showing him how like weak and fragile humanity is. He's talking about like how he's been around for like hundreds of years and how Mark will be around. He's like, you'll be here for hundreds of years and all these people and everybody you've ever loved will all be gone and it'll just be you. Um, so why not, help them join Viltrum's empire and be with your own people? And obviously Mark's like, I don't care about the Viltrumites. and Omni Man says some, and then he like takes him to like the ocean or something and tries to drown him. Well, he drowns
which
him.
was weird.
Yeah, I guess he does drown him, and then he gets him back out and just starts beating him some more. And he's talking about he says some interesting stuff. He talks about obviously how Viltrumites age way slower, and he'll watch everybody die. And he was talking about how he raised him wrong, and he raised him to be weak. And he was talking about how he um, he was talking. I forget what he's talking about. What else? He's talking about how he raised Mark wrong, and he was like, you know what? I've been around for 500 years. So what's another 17? I'll just make another one, right?
Yeah, yeah. We also said like you only know me for a small speck of my life. You don't really know who I am.
Right.
And now he says he needs to make another one, and then it was like, and then it was like after that he was like stopped, like oh my god. And I remember him. I think you told the story incorrectly. I think that Nolan asked Mark if you're gonna be around 500 years, like
No, no. He said he mentioned it. He mentioned his age way before that.
yeah, right, right. But
Yeah, I
whenever he
wasn't.
was really beating him up,
No, I
he
wasn't.
said,
I didn't. I wasn't getting to that part yet
"Oh, okay,
for a reason.
okay." Then my criticism was not well founded.
Yeah, I was waiting to get to that part for a reason. I just mentioned because he did
Okay,
say it a couple times earlier.
we'll follow. You go ahead.
Um, God, I lost where I mean, I'm basically right there. But we do see if is the flashback before Mark says that or after? I believe it's before, right? It's like the flashback of Mark playing baseball, like little league or
I
whatever,
think it's before.
and he's playing like little league baseball, and Nolan's like, "Oh, this is terrible. I could get a better view from up there," and they're like, "That's not the point." But and Debbie's like, just come watch. Stop standing alone by a weirdo, and like right when Mark's up to bat, you can see Nolan like as soon as Mark's doing pretty well, Nolan's actually like getting into it and getting pretty hype, and I think it shows that a lot of the things that Nolan was saying
Weren't true.
yeah, weren't true. He doesn't believe any of the stuff that he's saying. Rather, he obviously cares about Mark, cares about Debbie. It's just he feels that greater responsibility, but he does care about them more than he's letting on, which I think was a nice touch. I think
I think he kind of this is like what you see when someone's humanity is peeks through their beliefs. Like if someone's really like if you have like a really homophobic gay guy, like a lot of the preachers and stuff, they'll almost like make excuses for like their homosexuality, like oh well that wasn't gay, I didn't see him
yeah,
or whatever. Um, and so it's like their humanity, like they actually want to do these things, or um, like oh I'm just using like I don't know I'm just using this person. I can't really think of an example of when you would be like a racist, but you'd still be hanging out with people. Yeah. So that doesn't really work. But anyway, so it's just like I don't remember what I was saying.
it's alright. Uh, but
Yeah, die.
basically, then we get to the part where he's beating the crap out of Mark. Like, I think
Right.
this is easily the first time I've seen his teeth knocked out. Mark's pretty obviously about to die. Um, and he's like yelling at him like, after 500 years, what are you gonna have left? These people are gonna be gone. You're still gonna be here. And Mark's like, I'll still have you, Dad. And I was like, oh man, the waterworks about to come out. And
Yeah, I
you
was
see Nolan like he just
pulling on my heartstrings.
yeah, he obviously Nolan like stops. He's like, like, what am I doing? I'm doing this to my own son. And he just like flies off. He looks like real sad, obviously, and then he just flies off because he obviously can't finish off Mark like that.
Right.
And um, then we see the aftermath, um, and which some of this we missed the Guardians of the Globe going to go help fix up the city or whatever. It's not really all that important. But one thing that I was thinking about, you touched on in the D.A. Sinclair episode, how they were like using D.A. Sinclair to make like the robots for the government.
The cyborgs, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
and I was thinking about that because I saw him and he's Cecil walks by and he gives Cecil a big thumbs up and it's like you know I think that's like um if I found a way to mention Batman, but I think that's like what a lot of these characters that believe in like redemption believe in. Like that's what that would look like. I mean, D.A. Sinclair's like He's using his. He's not like stealing people off the street to make his
Yeah, that's true.
cyborgs. You
Okay,
know,
that's
he's
an interesting
working.
point.
He's working with the government to make. I mean, it's the government, so I mean, how righteous is it actually gonna be, right? But
Right.
um, I mean, he's doing it for a good purpose, and he's like kind of turning it around because he's doing something that he enjoys doing without the trouble of having to get. I mean, without the, the trouble that comes with being a criminal, and the government's
Yeah.
also getting something that they could use, which is more soldiers that could fight Invincible if he turns, or just fight anybody. Because obviously,
Yeah.
if they can beat up a Viltrumite, they can beat up basically
You can
everybody
beat
on
up a person. Yeah.
easily. So um, I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know why I thought to mention that, but I
Well,
just thought it was pretty
that's
interesting.
just, I didn't view it that way. I kind of, I think you might be right, but I viewed it in like, oh, this is the government isn't actually standing by its principles, and they don't actually care. It's like, oh, as long as it benefits us, we don't care if
Right.
you're harming people. Like the, I mean, it's not, it wasn't really that bad. It wasn't as bad in the real life case, but when the United States like used Nazi scientists for NASA and stuff, like that's kind of like the same idea of like, right? Like, oh well, they were redeemed,
Yeah.
and I guess so. But I think that's an extremely charitable way of viewing it. But you're still right. I think Batman would probably agree. I don't think that most people would.
Yeah, but that's what draws us to these characters, right? Batman,
True. Yeah.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
They um, they believe that people deserve a
Very
second chance.
optimistic.
I mean, obviously, we think that. I mean, most people would, like, if you ask them which superhero would be like the best to have in real life, they probably say like the Punisher or something. Well, like vigilante type character. Probably say like the
Yeah.
Punisher because he's just killing them. But it's like, you know, these people really believe that these
The true
terrible
answer
people.
is
Yeah,
Red Hood.
that might be the right answer. But um, we're seeing some build towards the future. We saw Titan again. Um, we saw Amber. Yeah. We saw her again. I mean, her and William and Eve. Amber seeming to come to terms with not being a big dumb idiot and realizing that, hey, Mark has to do stuff. He's got to do superhero stuff sometimes. Um,
Like you're literally like dating like the most powerful superhero on the planet. I mean, you think you give him a break sometimes?
yeah, for real. Um,
Like his schedule is gonna be, yeah, yeah. His schedule isn't gonna be perfect. He's gonna be late sometimes, but he's also saving millions of lives.
yeah, and
So maybe
his
get
dad
off
is,
your high horse
his dad just uh, murdered like thousands of people,
and
and
abandon
yeah,
him.
yeah. So I mean, he's going through a lot, so he's gonna be late sometimes. Um, but
The
we
fact
see,
that he shows up is what counts.
yeah, and we see who else? We see obviously Alan the alien come back, and he's like super late, and he's like, yo, dude, there's a filter bite on your planet. I just think Alan's so funny. I think it's hilarious because I think it's way funnier because it's Seth Rogen, but he's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and he's like, yo, man, yeah, your planet's flagged. There's a Viltrumite there. And he's like, yeah, dude, I know. That's my dad. He just beat me up. And he's like, I'm also, I mean, I guess if we had to put a percentage on it, like 70% Viltrumite. I thought it was funny when he was like, I guess I'm just gonna finish high school, and then Alan's like, yeah, that's good, that's good. What's high school?
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 hold up. Hold up. But the thing is, Alan said, "So what's next?" And then it was like a montage of the things that are the plot threads
Yeah,
in the show. And then Kristen Invincible says, "I don't know. I guess finish high school." Yeah. And then he's like, "What's high school?"
dude, I love
Because of
Alan.
course he would know what high school
Yeah,
is.
dude, I love Alan the alien, dude. He's so awesome.
He's like, it's like he's so friendly, but he's also so awkward at the same time. It's like
Yeah.
you can't hate him. I mean, he's just adorable.
Hey guys, guess what? We're gonna see Alan again. Yeah. So we saw Battle Beast again. Uh,
Yeah, we can see Battle Beast.
dude, I
We
love Battle
saw
Beast.
the Rock guy, Black
Yeah, Titan.
Black guy, Rock guy.
Yeah, the Titan. I just learned his name the other day. We saw the Mauler
I was
twins.
like that. I was like, damn. Okay, I didn't think it was like that important to you, but
No, no, no. I just
like you look
I
like
was I just
like
learned it while I was watching the episode. Like
I
the
see.
it was up. It was like Marasha Ali Titan. I was like, oh, that's his
Oh, I
name.
see the
Yeah,
yeah the little X-ray there. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh, that's his name. We saw the Mauler twins get arrested. Um,
Yep.
And then we saw him, the guard that he beat up. They beat up. They were just sitting there chilling, because they had like that friendly relationship with that guard up until they beat him up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with the chicken pot pie nights and all that. Oh man,
Hmm.
my favorite character. I mean, outside of what I know from the comics, those are my favorite characters in the show by far.
Really?
They're just I
I
don't know.
like
I
them.
think
I think they're cool, but
I mean maybe not
I
my
like.
favorites, but I think their interactions are just so funny or just so interesting.
I love the question that they pose. Like, I thought about like if I did that, and it's like your personal identity is no longer just yours. It's almost like this collective identity among copies of yourself that created over time,
Right.
and that's extremely
Yeah.
fascinating. Because like you could just do that, and then you guys would just have the same driver's licenses, and you just keep switching them around and shit.
Yeah.
And like
And you got to remember
that, what would that be like?
what they said though. You guys can't know who's the original. That always gets messy.
I think that yeah, I think
That's the key.
that's the way to go. That's the way to go about it.
I mean, obviously, it suck for you because you're just sitting there like your mind's racing. Like, am I the original? Am I a copy? Like, what's going on?
I don't think I'd care. I'd just be like, whatever.
No, I'd be going crazy. I'd be like, yo, am I the original, or am I the
But why does it
copy?
matter? I mean,
Nah, I gotta know. I just have to know. I'll just be one of these questions forever. It maybe doesn't matter, but I have to know.
you could just make it to where you, dude, this is what you do.
But then I'd
You
be
have to,
treating
you
the
have,
other one really badly. I'd be like, I'm the original. You do what I say.
you do it all. Dude, you should just make a copy of yourself that's like stupid. That's what like Stewie did in Family Guy. Like he was like a little mentally retarded, and so it's like a little bit was like, I don't know, Stewie. He'd be like, okay, go get me my shoes. Like, okay. It's like, dude, that would be like the
Yeah.
weirdest fucking thing to do. Like,
They probably had a couple copies like that before when they didn't have the process correct.
that's true.
Probably had one with like 3 arms or something. Just weird.
Right.
That red one.
Blue. He's red. He's the wrong color. He's just red for some reason.
He's like, I'm the original. It's like, well, obviously you're not.
Is there something anything we forgot?
No, I think that was it. Um, it's a great season finale. Can't wait for the rest of the series. Go check it out on Amazon Prime.
Go watch it. You can just binge it all in like a day.
Yeah, and then you can come back and binge our reviews.
Yep.
And
Binge the entire channel.
yeah,
On YouTube,
all right, yeah.
which is where you're at. We normally stream it
God,
first, so.
God, I hope so. I don't know where else you could be if you're watching this somewhere else. I don't know what to tell you.
They might be watching it on like the elitistpizzaarchive.com in 2044.
That's before we go on an evil rampage and blow up the planet.
Correct.
But I'm gonna end this before I
What?
start saying some weird stuff.
I no evil rampage. I don't want to destroy the planet.
I do.
What are you doing? Not being subscribed to the Elitist Pizza Podcast on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube? Do it. Now. Give us money.